Yeah, no, we're not friends. That's what they always say, though. I've had a few people, well, not a few, one of the most common questions in those groups, plasma cutting groups, it seems like there's always people, I guess new people, getting plasma cutting equipment. And I was talking to my buddy Bill the other day about this software, so I was going to show you real quick how to make a quick, easy drawing. But the question always comes up is, what's the best software to draw your plasma parts on, or you know, whatever. Now, this don't have to be plasma. This can be any kind of 2D drawings. So, I'll show you what I like. I've used several different softwares. I really love this one. I'm not just saying that. This software cost me about $450 one time, and that was about 4 years ago. You know, some of these free ones are absolute junk as far as I'm concerned. Inkscape, I've used it. I don't like it. But AutoCAD, it's too difficult to use. But let me show you real quick. There's two little drawings here that I've got on this page that he gave me. This is just nothing. This is a simple little drill some holes and, you know. But if this was a part you wanted to make on the plasma or a mill or anything else, let me show you how to make a quick drawing with this software if you're not familiar with it. Here we go. So here, create a new file. We'll just click that. You can open a file. You know, try not to get sidetracked on all this and make this quick. So all this job size is this is set to 4 by 8 foot. This is the size of my table. That's all that is. It doesn't matter. You can set that any size you want to. It doesn't affect what we're going to do here. We're going to draw a rectangle. A square and a rectangle is the same thing in CAD program. So, and I like to draw from the lower left corner down here, which is X0, Y0. Just me. Our corner is square. If you want to radius those, you can click these radius and put in different radius sizes, whether it's internal or external. Well, we're not doing that. Now, the way he's drawn this out is right here. That's why this is saved from the last thing I did. So he's got a, I have to put my glasses on. It's 1.5 inches. The width is 1.5 inches, so let's just go 1.5 on the width and 7.5 on the height. And that's how easy that is, and there it is, because we told it X0, Y0 right here. If you change these coordinates or change any of these, it'll put it wherever you tell it to put it, okay? And you can move it. That's the good thing about this software. I'm just scrolling with the mouse. Wherever you're at, whichever side, if I'm on the left side of that, it'll zoom that way. If I'm over here, it'll zoom that way, or it'll draw it that way. That's just the way I like my mouse settings. I think there's mouse settings. That's probably backwards from the way most people like their mouse to work in CAD, but that's the way I like it. All right, there's our deal. So let's close that tool out right there. And like I told you, Bill, all this is laid out in order. Here's your file operation. This is creating vectors, shapes, and things. Transform is like to move or set the size of it, rotate it, mirror, you know, those things are in there. Edit. You can do a few things like changing fillets here. In fact, I'll show you real quick. Change that radius like we talked about earlier. You can change that here and put a radius on it if you want. You can change that radius size. Just say change that to 1 inch. And, you know, you can do crazy stuff. If you click it again, we'll see that little X showing up. You can kind of get rid of what you did there. You can do different kinds. There's different types of fillets here, I guess. You can make shapes like that if you want, but I'm not going to dwell on that because I'm trying to make this quick. I tend to go on and yak about things, trying to be a little overly helpful, I guess. All right, so now all we got to do is put the holes in his first. He's got 5 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I showed you. This is all I'm looking at. I don't need this drawing. I'm just doing this for an example. We got 3/8 holes, and so we're going to select holes. I gotta have these glasses. I can't see. And see if you hover over this, it'll show you where your center line is. And so X is 0.75 is the center line of 1.5. So let's put 0.75 in the X. His first hole is, depending on which direction you're working from, I'm going to work from the bottom, and so it's a 1/2 inch from the bottom is the first hole, and we're dealing with 3/8 diameter. Now, if we did radius, that would be 187.5, which it doesn't matter. If you know the number, it'll work either way. It don't really matter. I like working off diameter personally. It just keeps your head screwed on straight usually, in case you do something dumb. But so let's create that one. There's our first hole, and our next one is going to be 1 inch away from that. So theoretically, we could say 1.5 on the Y, right? Create that one, you know, and there's a million ways to do an array of holes and all kinds of stuff that I'm not that great at. I don't need to do it very often. When I do, but I just want to show you a couple ways of doing this. Now you can do, if you want, I'm just left click to select that hole. So if I wanted to, zoom up a little bit when you see this, I can right click on that and do a copy and paste like you do. You can push paste anywhere you want. It's going to put it right on top of that one. See, we're kind of marked that up. So don't click off of nothing right now. Keep that selected, and we want to move that. Remember, these are 1 inch. I mean, you may not know this, but these holes are 1 inch apart, and there's 5 of them. So we just want to see where it says transform objects. Right here it says set the size. We don't want to change the size. I can show you that feature in a minute if you want. Move objects. So we're going to do a relative move, which just means we're moving it from where it's at to somewhere else. So the only move we're doing is in the Y position. So we want to move that 1 inch, right? So put 1 inch, apply, and there you go. So yeah, you can do that if you want to just copy and paste things around, and if you know the location, just tell it the location, or if you know how far you want to move it, then you do it that way. So, and if you'll notice right here, wherever your cursor is, or your little arrow, if you look down here at the bottom, it shows you where your X and Y position is. So in case you kind of forget approximately where you're at, we're at 2.5 inches, and we need some more circles. So however you want to put them, or you can just, wherever you put it there, you see you're at 2.5, so now we need to be at 3.5. And so let's write in 3.5, create, and we need one more hole, so we know that'll be at 4.5. Bang, double check by the drawing. You know, I'm the world's worst. I double and triple check everything I do. He's got this drawn from 3 inches from that hole to there. He didn't draw this dimension down here, but I did ask him, and that is a 1/2 inch. That's just what it figures out drawing. I usually make 100% sure that I know what someone wants before I cut something or do something. If it's not clear, 100% clear that that's really what they wanted, I'll ask them. Probably bothers people when I do that, but that's just me being overly cautious. Now we can see this edit object. One thing you could do right here is measure. So what I'm going to be looking for is this distance right here. So if it'll kind of pop to that, snap to that corner right there, you see. Now you can zoom in on things as you're doing it, it don't matter, and then you can zoom out while you're in a move if you want. And so I clicked that, and if you'll notice over here, that's 7.5 inches. That's what we wanted, right? I'll show you another way to do that here in a minute. So now if you want to click somewhere else, we're going to check our hole size. This is one way you can do it. 3/8 hole size. We want to check the width of this. It's 1.5. That's what we want. You could also zoom in right here on your measuring tape that's up here in the deal, and it's lined up on 1.5. What else? 7 inches here. You know, you can really zoom in and see it down to the thousandths here. That's 20 thousandths to the next line. So you know, you could really zoom in. There's 10 thousandths to there. So I guess that's 1,000th a piece there. So there's a lot of ways to look at things and inspect things you're working on. I draw things within 1/10 of a thousandth or something pretty much every time I do it, because it's I know it's not a critical thing, but if you draw it dead on, then you're not going to run into issues when you're cutting something. So also you can put your mouse in here and you can drag out these guides. And if you wanted to, if you were trying to line something up, a lot of times they will click into, they tell you where they're at too, but sometimes they'll snap to where you want to be. And there's snap features up here. You can toggle things. I'm not real great at doing that, but there are ways up here that you can toggle that. You can put a grid on the screen if you want. But you can drag as many of these guides out here as you want if you need to use them to line something up, or even to check if something was straight or things like that, because you can change angles, and then when you get tired of them, just you can right click on them. They won't be in your drawing. When if you save this file, you're not going to be saving that grid, that line or anything. It's just there for using. But anyway, that's something you can do. And if you want, just select this box here. If you want to see what size it is, you go to set object size right there. You can see right here what size it is. It's 1.5 by 7.5. Okay. Don't move nothing while you're in there or do anything. Just look at it if you want. Oh, same way on any of the whole sizes. If you just want to see what size it was, or change the size, then set size, and it shows you you're at 3/8. Now I'll go ahead and say this real quick for the plasma cutting. You can dial your plasma cutting in dead on. Like I think I didn't really get into this with Bill the other day, but you know, laser is really accurate, but they still dial their machines in. Water jet is very accurate. It's slow, but very accurate. Plasma can be really accurate. The only thing with plasma is you're going to get a little bit of taper on thicker materials. So, you know, say above 3/16 or something, you'll really start seeing a little bit of taper. And I can go into that if you're interested in why that taper is there. It's physically like a flame. Your plasma arc is like a candle flame, you might say, shaped like a cone. So depending on how thick the material is, you're going to pick up a little bit of that cone shape in your plasma arc. That's just a simple explanation of that, and if you want, there's plenty of information in your Hypertherm book about that anyway. But okay. But anyway, what I was going to say, you can dial in. So if I know, if this was 1/4 inch material I was cutting, for instance, I know that it's going to have whatever the kerf width is set into that tool. You know, those are tools in your, when you set your cam, which is the cut file. This is not a cut file. This is what you feed to your cam program, which is going to give you your G-code. I can do another video on that if anyone is interested in how I do that. It's pretty simple with sheet cam. This program will do it with my machine. It won't do it with probably any other plasma machines that I know of, but it has a post processor for that. So try not to get too long on this video, but because I see so many questions about plasma on Facebook groups, it's almost sickening how often that you see those same questions, because I guess there's that many new people that don't know anything about this, and I've been there, believe me. I'm not knocking you. I've been there, done that. This is where I settled in, and I love this program for what I do. And I don't cut all day long, but I have in the past had jobs where I cut all day long with plasma. I ran 3 different plasma machines, 2 in big industrials that are 20 foot long. So, yeah, I've used this software in a daily, all-day job before, and I like it for that too. I've also used ProNest, Hypertherm ProNest, which I don't like as well as this software. It's not a CAD software anyway, really. It's a CAM software, but that's a different day, a different story. So anyway, you see how to do that. You know, you can come up here and look at sizes and things if you want. Depending on where you set, you can move this. If you wanted to move this to a different position, you know, that's where you're going to move holes. You move anything you want. It's like for right now, I want to draw this other one just right quick. Hopefully right quick. And so let's go here where it says move. In this case, we'll just leave it on relative, or I can go to absolute. I usually do work off of absolute, but I like to be off the lower left corner. And let's just say I want to get that out of the way, and let's draw another one right here in this position. So let's just move it over 8 inches, let's say. That's probably plenty to, or 10 inches just to get it out of the way. I like to put it on an even number that I know where it is. In case I do want to make any changes, then it's always on a number that is even and I can just work with if I need to do something there. Okay, so there's a lot of features here that I don't use that much, and I do use occasional that I probably won't get into right now, but this is a pretty powerful software for this is VCarve is the company that, if you ever heard of VCarve routers, router tables, CNC wood router tables or aluminum, that kind of work. That's what this program is. This is not a bogus fly-by-night cheap program. This is what VCarve users use. So, and there's different versions of it that they call different things, but it's Vectric Cut2d Pro is this one that I really like. So you go on their website and download it and pay for it, and then you have it. They give you updates. Now there's a new version at 11. I've been on version 10 for 4 years, and it goes up to, like it's at 10.515 was the last update I got. I don't want to buy another version. I think you have to buy a whole new, I don't know how much it would cost, but I don't need that right now. But yeah, all you do is click on that usually, and it'll update, and just follow the screen and it'll take care of it. So anyway, let's draw the other one. So we move that out of the way. Let's just draw another square. I'll show you how. Let's just do this as quick as we can and get on with this. So this one is a 1 3/4 by 4 inch. So if you want to draw this, I'll do this one the other direction just for instance of, and then we can rotate it. I'll show you that real quick. So in this case, let's do a 4 inch width, and it is 1.75 tall, the way I'm going to draw it. Okay, I'm just laying this one down instead of standing it up. Okay, these holes are just 3 holes at 1 inch. So let's go back to our holes. Let's put 1 inch, 1.0, and half of this width. Remember, it'll show you where that is if you don't want to do the math real quick. 875 is the center line, so let's go 0.875. Remember, we're working off a 0 here, so, and let's create that hole. So we know the next hole is going to be at 2 inches. Create that one, and the next one's at 3. And that's just how easy that is. And again, I know there's a million ways to do that. That's just a quick, easy way of doing it. And if I want to rotate that back to where it goes, remember, wherever you pivot that, well, I'll show you here. Go down here to where it says transform. Hover over these, it shows, see it says rotate. Let's click that. Now, normally a negative move is actually clockwise, and if you wanted to put an actual angle, I think that's 0 in most CAD programs. This is 0, and then it goes, anyway, just from experience, I know that I want to move that 90 degrees, but I want to think about which way to rotate it. Okay, that doesn't really matter. All I want to do is rotate it. It's too much time and thinking to, and that's going to pivot off the center, right? In a relative move, we're going to go 90 degrees. And let's apply that. See, so now it rotated, and we knew it was going to hang it down here, and it's all still selected. And me and my OCD mind, I don't like that hanging down, and if you were going to cut this on the table, this is where I use my bottom line, so we don't want that there. So come over here where it says move. Remember, everything needs to be selected. Don't unselect any of this, or you'll move something and a hole will still be over here. Make sure it's all selected that you want to move. Now we're going to move this into absolute and just change these to 0 right here. Y and X need to be on a 0. Apply, and there you are. So you're right back to where you want to be. And if you want to select that, use your arrow keys, you know, anytime you want to move something. If you want to do that, in fact, I'll show you something real fast here. If I wanted to blend these and make one part out of them, you know, for a plasma cut type of thing, what I usually do is zoom in as close as I can get. If I want these to not be any, you know, difference in size from what it was or whatever, you know, you can get, we're down here to about 1,000th right there. You know, that is next to nothing in the plasma cutting, or the difference in size is pretty much nothing. So now let's unselect that, and what I want to do is trim out this these lines in here and make that one. Okay, so let's just zoom in, take these scissors right here, and just get them right on what you got to be careful. You'll be cutting things you don't mean to cut. You know, the bigger you have that gap, the more you can line these scissors. I can't get it right there. Sometimes when you click things, things will disappear on you. So let's go back and select all this again. Let's get that a little further. That was just being silly there. Okay. Now then, see if we can get the scissors to work. There we go. Now, see, now we made that one part, so we could go cut this on the plasma like this. And you know, because I don't like sharp corners, what I would probably do here is, now sharp corners are nice because when you have your lead in and you lead out, you want to be on sharp corners where you're going to lead in this way and it's going to make that outside cut after it does the holes, of course. And then it's going to come out, and I'm going to give it about 1/4 inch or so of a lead in and lead out. It's going to be a straight line in and a straight line out, and so you have a hard time finding that lead. If you just done it right there, then you're going to burn the corner off of it probably. But as far as looks go, I like to go to here to this fillet, and so I'll use a pretty small, and let's just say 1/4 inch, and I'll just, oh, I still got that on that stupid one, so let's get rid of that. On normal fillet right there, and you know, I'll just, to make things look a little better. Now that one you probably don't want to do that, but you could. You'll do like that. And if you want it to be a different type, then you could do that. But anyway, this is just quick showing you how to draw something on here. Now, Bill, if you wanted to talk about sending files, DXF files or whatever for, say, a laser cut operation or whatever, then go up here to File, Export right here. Just say DXF. I personally like to use SVG files. To me, they're a little better files. But before we save this, let me show you one more thing. So just highlight around that, select it all, and let's check this vector validator, especially if you've been clipping things like we did. Sometimes you'll end up with a little open line here and there or something that you didn't realize was there. You don't want that if you're going to make a good cut. So search selected right there, and you notice it says 0. It'll have errors in here. These will be numbers if you had a problem with a node. And while that's selected, you can push N for nodes, and it'll show you your nodes. You don't want that to be real busy looking. See, that's showing that little arc there where we kind of changed that. Those are fine. Those look good, clean. That's a good, clean file. It'll cut good, I promise you. And so, and a lot of times you may want to just make a tool of some kind, like I was telling Bill the other day. It's pretty cool. You can draw that, come in and blend in different shapes or whatever, and make a tool real quick and easy on this. I am no expert at CAD. I'm not very good at CAD, but I'm just showing you how easy this program works, and I hope this video wasn't too long. Let's show you how to save this real quick. Export, DXF, and if we want to name this, let's just say BM, forgot what BM race cars or something, sample. Let's just say something like that. That's kind of what that is, and I save my stuff in on OneDrive, and so I can access it anywhere I want. That's kind of where this is in OneDrive, SVG. But anyway, I don't really want to save this. I'm just showing you. That's where it just asks you where do you want to save it. I like to save it on the cloud, you might say. And also I can share it and do anything else from the cloud pretty easily instead of it being on one computer that, you know, I have to wait till I get home or something. I can do it on my phone or anywhere else if I have it on the cloud. And if I had a file on there and somebody says, hey man, you got that file of that fire pit? You know, like, just real quick, I'll show you. I have people occasionally say, hey, I saw a video you made on building a fire pit. Could you share that file or sell it to me or whatever? And I was like, hey Jack, I'm not really in the business of selling files, but I mean, I'll give it to you if you want it, because I probably bought it from somebody else, or I may have bought something and changed it and drew it. But let's just say file, let's go import vectors right here. And for instance, we could just take, here's an Aggies thing that I made for my cousin, I think. So, you know, you can pull these in, and this is some ways I do this. I slot things. It's another thing for some of you newer plasma guys, if you didn't realize this. You cut these slots in things, and then you can bend these up by hand. I make this one out of 10 gauge material. So you can just take your hands and bend those up to where these corners meet, and just tack them together when you get them just right. And then weld the outside seam. Try not to tack things where it's visible. I usually tack it right where I'm going to maybe weld right over it or something. Just barely tack it to hold it. And then I'll flip it upside down and just weld down that seam real nice as I can. I'm not that great of a welder, but I do okay, I guess, for a redneck. Same way here on the legs. It's got little slots. You can bend those in. You lay them down on the bottom and tack them in. I usually weld just a few tacks on the bottom, maybe in 3 places. If you think any of these seams need a little weld on them to strengthen, which normally they don't, you know, you can play with how long these lines are too. You don't want that to crack and break, but you want it to bend easily without distorting your material too bad either. This is 10 gauge, and this one might be 3/16. This is a different fire pit here that just fits together when you put those tractor clip pins. You get Tractor Supply, those ring pins. It's made to just clip them on there. So anyway, you can push Control Z anytime to get rid of the last move. It's kind of like your undo feature, which you can do right up here as well. So undo, or see, there's redo, undo. Okay. Anyway, that's really all. So that's all I got for right now, and hope this is helpful to somebody. And Bill, I can show you how to load the software if you're interested in doing that. Maybe I may put it on one of my laptops and bring it and show it to you, or you can come by here anytime and we'll do that. And no, I don't want to save that. And I guess that's all for the moment. So as Hannah Barron Outdoors says, appreciate y'all.